She just crushed a four-time Grand Slam champion. She just booked a ticket to the biggest final of her career. And she did it all in front of a crowd that traveled across the country just to see her name on the schedule. The semifinal of the Mubadala DC Open was billed as a blockbuster. On one side stood Naomi Osaka, former world number one, four-time Grand Slam champion, and a player who has shaped conversations around modern tennis both on and off the court. On the other side stood Eala, a 21-year-old from Manila who had already beaten 3 champions in 3 days, and was playing with the weight of an entire nation on her shoulders. The clash of styles was almost poetic. Osaka's power game versus Eala's relentless consistency. Experience versus youth. Established legend versus rising star. But from the very first point, it became clear that this was not going to be the competitive thriller that many had predicted. Eala came out firing, her ground strokes finding every corner of the court with surgical precision. She neutralized Osaka's signature power, forcing the four-time major champion to play uncomfortable shots and dictate points with a precision that left her opponent frustrated and searching for answers. The Filipino flags in the stands waved furiously with every point won, the crowd erupting as Eala built an insurmountable lead. When the final point was won, the scoreline told a story of dominance. Eala had done what few players in the world can do. She had made Naomi Osaka look ordinary. She had dismantled a legend on the biggest stage of her career and sent a message to the tennis world. Eala is here to stay. I'm really happy with how I played today, Eala said after the match, her voice calm but her eyes betraying the emotion of the moment. She's such an accomplished player, someone who has made waves on and off the court for so many reasons. There's so much respect for her, and I'm really excited for this opportunity. That humility is what sets Eala apart. Even after dismantling one of the game's greats, she refused to take credit. She deflected praise. She spoke about respect and opportunity rather than triumph. But the numbers don't lie. This victory wasn't just another win. It was a statement. Eala had now defeated her 6th top 10 opponent of the season. She had reached her 3rd WTA semifinal of the year, and she had done it by avenging losses, dethroning champions, and now silencing legends. I came in with a really good mindset today, Eala shared after the match. I felt I was playing well from the start. Elina produced great shots and became more aggressive in the second set, but I'm really happy I was able to keep my rhythm. That rhythm carried her through one of the toughest draws in the tournament. An Olympic gold medalist, a defending champion, a world number 10, and now a 4-time Grand Slam champion. Eala had beaten them all, and she had done it with the poise of a veteran and the hunger of a champion. The final now awaits. Another challenge. Another opportunity. But Eala has already proven one thing. She fears no one. How far can she go? Is this the moment Philippine tennis has been waiting for? And when Eala steps onto the court for the biggest match of her career, will she be playing for herself, or for the millions who believe in her? To understand just how far Eala has come, you have to look at the path she carved through Washington. This wasn't a lucky draw. This wasn't a fluke. This was a masterclass in perseverance, resilience, and the kind of belief that turns dreams into reality. Before she even thought about Naomi Osaka, Eala had to survive what might have been the toughest draw in the entire tournament. And she didn't just survive. She conquered. It started with Zheng Qinwen, the Olympic gold medalist, the woman who had broken Eala's heart 3 years ago at the Asian Games. That loss had haunted the young Filipina, a reminder of how close she was and how far she still had to go. But this was a different Eala. This was the Eala who had just beaten the defending Wimbledon champion. The Eala who had climbed to world number 28. The Eala who no longer feared anyone. The match was a war. Zheng took the first set 6-4, and history seemed destined to repeat itself. But Eala refused to break. She dug deep, found another gear, and roared back to win the second set 6-4. Then, in the decider, she completely dismantled the Olympic champion, winning 6-1. That victory wasn't just about advancing to the next round. It was redemption. It was Eala completing a rare feat, defeating all 3 medalists from the 2024 Paris Olympics. She had already beaten silver medalist Donna Vekic and bronze medalist Iga Swiatek. Now she had conquered the gold. But she wasn't done. Her next opponent was Leylah Fernandez, the defending champion of the DC Open. The Canadian star had beaten Eala just months earlier in Stuttgart, 6-1, 6-4, and she was hungry to do it again. What followed was the kind of performance that defines a career. Eala came out firing and won the first set 6-2 in just 34 minutes. Fernandez looked rattled. Her game was error-prone, and Eala was pouncing on every mistake. But champions don't give up. Fernandez found her rhythm in the second set and won 5 straight games to build a 5-1 lead. The momentum had completely shifted. The crowd grew tense. It looked like the match was going to a third set. It looked like Eala's incredible run might finally hit a wall. Then Eala did the impossible. She didn't panic. She didn't let frustration consume her. She just kept fighting, point by point, game by game. I know that she was playing a little better, and maybe my level dropped a little bit, Eala admitted later. Those are very tricky moments when you know your level's dropped, and you want to do better. But things just, for one reason or another, aren't coming out. I think patience was key there, and just trying to work it out, and have a strong mentality in terms of trying to find solutions. She found those solutions. She clawed her way back from 1-5 to 6-6, forcing a tiebreak. In that tiebreak, she was flawless. She dominated Fernandez 7-1, clinching the match in 1 hour and 53 minutes. She had just dethroned the defending champion. She had avenged a painful defeat. She had booked her place in the quarterfinals. But here's what made this streak truly remarkable. This wasn't just about winning. It was about who she beat, an Olympic gold medalist, a defending champion. And before that, a 3-time Grand Slam champion in Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon. Then came Elina Svitolina, the world number 10, the second seed. The veteran with 20 WTA titles and 3 Grand Slam semifinals on her resume. The woman Eala had already beaten once before, in Berlin, in straight sets. Svitolina entered that quarterfinal with revenge on her mind. She had spent days telling anyone who would listen that the grass court loss in Berlin was a surface issue, not a skill issue. Tomorrow is a new surface, new country, a new city, so it's a new challenge, she had warned. But Eala had other plans. She dismantled Svitolina again, winning 6-3, 6-4 in 1 hour and 34 minutes. She broke Svitolina's serve 6 times. She neutralized the Ukrainian's powerful game with precision and poise. Elina was being aggressive, especially in the second set. So I'm very happy, Eala said after the match. There are so many things I've learned about what it takes to stay at this level and handle these tough players. But I'm just at the beginning of this long process, and I'm really excited for what's ahead. That victory was her 6th over a top 10 opponent this season. It secured her 3rd semifinal appearance of the WTA Tour season, and it set up a showdown with Naomi Osaka, a player she had never faced before, but one she had admired from afar. I'm really excited. I haven't had much time to think about it, but I will definitely think about it after I get off, Eala said. But here's what's truly remarkable about this run. Eala wasn't just winning matches, she was winning them against the best players in the world. An Olympic gold medalist, a defending champion, a world number 10, and now a 4-time Grand Slam champion. Each victory built on the last, each comeback more dramatic than the one before. I think it's just part of my character, Eala said. But then again, every single player here is a fighter. All of us here are fighters. Whether it's my opponent today, yesterday, tomorrow, you can never count anybody out. That mindset, that refusal to count herself out, is what has carried Eala through the toughest moments of her career. And it's what will carry her into the biggest match of her life against Naomi Osaka. If you think Alex Eala's journey has been difficult so far, you haven't seen anything yet. Because standing between her and a spot in the DC Open final is a name that needs no introduction: Naomi Osaka. The 3rd seed, the former world number 1, the 4-time Grand Slam champion. The woman who has beaten the best players in the world on the biggest stages imaginable. And she arrives in Washington playing some of the best tennis of her career. Just weeks ago at Wimbledon, Osaka produced a performance that stunned the tennis world. She knocked out world number 1 Elina Svitolina in straight sets, reaching the quarterfinals of the All England Club for the first time in her career. It was a display that two-time Grand Slam champion Tracy Austin described as the best we've seen Naomi Osaka since she came back from maternity leave. What changed for Osaka? She credits her coaching team, her mindset, and one very special ingredient: her mother's cooking. "My mom is over there. She cooks a lot, and I feel like her cooking is powering me," Osaka said after that victory. The Japanese star, now 28, has rediscovered the joy that made her one of the most feared players on tour. But here's the thing about this semifinal matchup. It's not just another match. It's a clash of two Asian stars, two players who represent their nations with pride, and two completely different styles of tennis. Osaka's game is built on power. Her serve is one of the most devastating weapons in women's tennis. Her ground strokes are heavy and relentless. When she's on, she can blow any opponent off the court. Osaka was nearly untouchable, the athletic wrote after her Wimbledon win over Sabalenka. She weaponized her second serve too, winning 61% of those points. That power has carried Osaka to 4 Grand Slam titles, but it's also made her vulnerable. When her power game falters, she struggles to find alternatives. And that's where Eala's game becomes so dangerous. Eala is the ultimate counterpuncher. She doesn't overpower opponents. She outmaneuvers them. She neutralizes power with precision. She frustrates aggressive players by retrieving balls that seem impossible to reach. She stays patient, waits for the right moment, and then strikes with surgical accuracy. "I think I came in with a great mindset today," Eala said after defeating Svitolina. "I felt I was playing really well from the start. That mindset, that ability to stay calm and composed under pressure, will be essential against Osaka." But Osaka's path to this semifinal hasn't been easy either. In her quarterfinal, she had to come from behind to beat Italy's Elisabetta Cocchiaretto, winning 4-6, 6-4, 6-3. It was a match that tested her resilience. She admitted later that she didn't have any energy at the start, but found a way to grind out the victory. The stakes are enormous for both players. For Eala, a win would send her into her first WTA 500 final. It would secure a spot in the top 20 of the world rankings for the first time in her career. It would cement her status as Asia's next tennis superstar and give the Philippines a hero for generations to come. For Osaka, a win would break a 5-year title drought. The former world number 1 hasn't lifted a trophy since her Australian Open victory in 2021. She's hungry, she's motivated, and she knows this might be her best chance to end that drought. "She's, of course, such an accomplished player," Eala said when asked about Osaka. "I think she's made waves on and off the court for so many reasons, and there's so much respect for that. I'm really excited. Not intimidated, not scared, excited. That's the mindset that has carried Eala through this tournament. That's the mindset that has allowed her to beat Olympic gold medalists, defending champions, and world number 10s. And that's the mindset she'll need when she steps onto the court against Naomi Osaka. The challenge is immense. The stakes are enormous. The world is watching, and Alex Eala is ready. But will she be ready for a former world number 1 who is playing like she has nothing to lose and everything to prove? We're about to find out. If you think the stands at the William H.G. Fitzgerald Tennis Center were loud before, you haven't seen anything yet. Because when Alex Eala walked onto the court to face Naomi Osaka, the stadium transformed into something that felt less like a tennis match and more like a celebration of Filipino pride. The flags were everywhere, red, white, and blue waves of fabric rippling through every section of the stands. The chants started before the first point was even played. "Eala! Eala!" echoed through the venue, so loud that you could barely hear the ball being struck. This wasn't just a crowd, it was a movement. And the Filipino diaspora had arrived in full force. They came from Virginia, from Maryland, from New York and California, and every corner of the United States where the Filipino community has planted its roots. They packed the stands, waved the red, white, and blue, and turned the stadium court into a home away from home for their hero. And Osaka? She was about to experience something she had never encountered before in her career. Naomi Osaka has played in front of some of the biggest crowds in tennis history. She has played on Arthur Ashe Stadium at the US Open, on Center Court at Wimbledon, on Rod Laver Arena at the Australian Open. She has faced the pressure of Grand Slam finals with millions watching. But she has never experienced anything quite like what awaited her in Washington. "I've never played Alex before, but obviously I've seen some of her matches," Osaka said before the match. "She's had an incredible year so far. Honestly, playing her would be really fun for me, just to get that knowledge about how she is." But it was her next comment that revealed just how much Osaka had been paying attention to Eala's rise. "I remember watching one of her matches last year at the US Open, and it was kind of mind-blowing," Osaka admitted. "I didn't think tennis could have an atmosphere like that. It almost felt more like a basketball game." That's right. Naomi Osaka, four-time Grand Slam champion, former world number one of the most famous athletes on the planet, had been watching Eala's journey. She had been keeping tabs on the Filipinos' rise, and she knew exactly what kind of atmosphere awaited her. The atmosphere didn't disappoint. When Eala stepped onto the court, the roar was deafening. When she won a point, the eruption was seismic. When she closed out the first set, the celebration was something you might expect from a championship victory, not a semifinal. But the numbers behind this phenomenon are even more staggering. Tournament chairman Mark Ein had seen it coming for months. "I will say, over the last month, the ticketing team says at least 80%, if not more, of the requests in this tournament are about when is Eala playing," Ein revealed. Honestly, I think it's more, and they just didn't want to say it was more, but they're like virtually all. 80%, the official number. But I knew the truth. It was virtually every single inquiry. "When you look at the amazing players here and how many great stars there are, it says something about Alex's following," Ein said. "Obviously, she's been an icon, becoming an icon in the Philippines, but worldwide. So there's obviously Filipinos everywhere." The organizers hadn't just stumbled into this phenomenon. They actively pursued it. "Earlier this year, in the early spring, our team said, 'This is a phenomenon that's spreading, and we should try to get Alex to come to Washington,'" Ein revealed. That decision paid off in ways no one could have predicted. When Eala's participation was confirmed, the floodgates opened. Thousands of inquiries poured in from across the country, all asking the same question: when is Eala playing? Having her in Washington was, as Ein put it, honestly one of the really great things that's already happened this year. And now, as Eala walked off the court having crushed a four-time Grand Slam champion, the crowd erupted once more. Not just because she won, but because she had done it in front of the people who had traveled from across the country to see her. The final now awaits. But Eala has already proven that she is more than just a tennis player. She is a movement, a symbol, a hero for an entire nation. And the crowd that loves her? They're just getting started. The final point was a double fault. Svitolina, serving to stay in the match, double faulted on match point, and just like that, Eala had done it again. 6 breaks of serve. 1 hour and 34 minutes of relentless precision, and a victory that sent her into the semifinals of the Manila DC Open. But let's be clear about what this victory really means. This wasn't just another win. This was Eala's 6th victory over a top 10 opponent this season. The same player, in straight sets, on 2 different continents, on 2 different surfaces. Svitolina walked onto the court with revenge on her mind, and walked off with her game dismantled for the 2nd time in 2 months. The numbers tell the story. Eala has now beaten an Olympic gold medalist, a defending champion, a world number 10, and a 4-time Grand Slam champion, all in a single tournament.
She has become the first Filipina to reach a WTA 500 final.
She has climbed to a career-high ranking of world number 28, and she's just 369 ranking points away from breaking into the top 20. But the numbers don't capture the emotion. They don't capture the flags waving in the stands. They don't capture the chants of "Eala! Eala!" echoing through the stadium. They don't capture what it means for a nation of 110 million people to finally have a tennis hero to call their own. I think I came in with a great mindset today. I think I was playing really well, Eala said after the match. Of course, Elina hit some good shots. She was being aggressive, especially in that second set. So I'm really happy that I was able to kind of keep my rhythm. That composure, the ability to stay calm while a world number 10 is throwing everything at you, is what separates Eala from other young players. She doesn't panic. She doesn't make excuses. She finds solutions. And that's what has carried her through the most demanding week of her career. What happens when you become the first player from your country to reach this stage? What happens when you beat 4 champions in 4 days and your semifinal opponent is a 4-time Grand Slam winner? What happens when the entire world is watching? Eala is about to find out. She's already cemented her legacy as the greatest Filipino tennis player of all time. Now, she has a chance to do something even bigger. She has a chance to win it all. She's made history, but the next chapter is waiting to be written. And if her run in Washington has taught us anything, it's this. Never count Eala out. Eala has done the impossible in Washington. She has beaten 4 champions in 4 days, including an Olympic gold medalist, a defending champion, a world number 10, and a 4-time Grand Slam winner. She's 1 win away from the biggest title of her career, and she's done it all with the weight of an entire nation on her shoulders. If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We bring you the biggest stories in tennis, drama, and emotion every single week. Don't miss what happens next.